What up, meatheads? It's Travis, American Butcher, and this is the Meat Block Podcast, the weekly pod. Oof. Jeez Louise. It's the weekly podcast by butchers for everyone. And if you hear that grinding in the background, that's because I just gave my dog Max a fresh beef knuckle, and he doesn't understand that we are in a soundproof environment, that this is a dead zone. It's just chewing away. So let me go move that bone. All right, I moved that bone. He's still adjacent to me, so you may hear it. Noise travels through this house like a cold wind, and something more elegant than that. But anyway, in this week's episode of the Meat Block Podcast, I had the pleasure of talking to Nathan Bingham, the owner of Bingham Meats, located in Utah. We'll get more into that in a minute. And the thing I just love about this shop is what they're doing to help get young people involved in the meat industry. And before you listen to this episode, you should just stop, go follow his Instagram account. Link will be in the show notes. And just check out this great family environment of a shop. You know, it just breathes wholesomeness. It's the type of place that we all wish we got our start in. But, you know, unfortunately, there weren't people like Nathan when I was starting out. It was very different, you know, for my journey. And it would just be amazing to come up through a shop like he has. So please enjoy this episode of the Meat Block Podcast.
Good cutting enhances the quality of good meat. Poor cutting results in an inferior piece of meat, regardless of quality.
This is Nathan.
Hi, Nathan. Can you hear me? This is Travis.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I'm recording. So how are
Sweet.
you? How's your Memorial Day weekend treating you? Busy?
It is pretty good. Just got off work. Crazy busy weekend. I think it's been super rainy and almost snowy here, so
weird. This
probably would have been a little bit busier, but it has been pretty cold.
Yeah. Is that normal for the weather this time of year usually, or is it?
No, dude. Usually it's like 80 degrees, 70 degrees by now, but the last couple of days the snow has been falling in the mountains kind of up and around us, but yeah, it's been really unseasonably cold and pretty rainy the last little bit, so kind of crazy weather right now.
Yeah, that sounds like it. So are you off in the next couple of days, or do you got to go back in tomorrow and then?
No, we're always closed on Sunday, but we will be working Monday. So we've got a partial day Monday, so we'll be open 9 to 4 on Monday.
Okay.
We usually close at 6, but that way we've got a little bit of time for our employees to go out and visit some graves and stuff.
Yeah.
We usually slow down in the afternoon anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And then, I just have some questions. Just wondering, you know, I've been following you for a while on social media, and you got a pretty extensive or great looking operation. And I just wanted to know how did you get into the industry, Nathan?
Yeah, so kind of started back when I was, I think, 16 or so. My kind of first experience with a butcher. I was hired on in 2002 at a grocery store to help out with the Olympics that was here in town. I'm from Huntsville, which is not super close to Salt Lake City, but up kind of in the mountain range. We've got a bunch of ski resorts and stuff around us, and so the local grocery store got really busy with all the out-of-towners and out-of-country people coming in for the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of my first experience, I was cleaning the meat room as a bagger at the grocery store. And the meat guy that was kind of in charge had been there for quite a while. He was just kind of an old cowboy. just an old cutter that was super experienced and kind of rough around the edges, but that was kind of my first experience with the meat room, was just cleaning up and seeing how cool everything was. And I worked there for a few years. And then after I graduated, I lived in Brazil for a couple of years. I served in an LDS mission down there. And after I got home, I started working at a grocery store again, and they needed help in the meat department. So started wrapping, learned how to cut, became the assistant manager. And then after a couple of years, became the manager, as he was the same guy was in transition to retire and move out. So was the meat manager for a couple of years, and that's kind of how I learned the retail end of it. And then meanwhile doing that, people started asking me to cut up their deer and elk and whatever else. And so I fell in love with the trade, fell in love with the industry. So did a lot of that stuff for free just to kind of learn my way around the carcass. Ended up doing that for a few years, and then I saw a lot of potential in just like a game processing side. So I started to put together an idea that I could have a trailer with everything in it that I'd be able to get kind of passed off under compliance to be able to cut and process game for people. And then the next town over, there was an old butcher shop for sale that had gone out of business. So decided to buy that. Me and my wife decided to buy that and put my 2 months notice in at my other job so they could replace me. And then we ended up buying the building in 2011 and just kind of took off from there. So we started out, I was the only one kind of running the whole shop completely by myself for about the first 2 weeks. I had one of my buddies that came in and started helping me, and I'd known him from the grocery store. He was in the produce department. So he started coming in just to keep up, because at first I wasn't really busy enough to really I could run everything, because I'd been running the grocery store meat department kind of by myself as well. So I started getting more orders where people were coming to pick up, and I was trying to help other people. And so we got a couple more people working for us. And then just kind of kept plugging away. And then in 2016, we did our expansion that made our building from 2,000 square feet that we had bought and went up to 5,300 square feet. So we've added a bunch of new coolers, another processing side, an office and storage space on and upstairs, up above all the coolers, another freezer. And then we've just been kind of running since then to keep up with all the business coming in. So we're up to between 20 and 24 employees that we've got working there anytime now.
So what services do you offer? It looks like you have you do processing for small farms, and you have the retail side. And it looks like
yeah. So we're a custom exempt butcher shop. So we service a lot of farmers around our area. We've also, with my background in retail, I've always pushed the retail. And the guy that I bought the building from, when I first bought it, he was just like, well, just make sure during fall you save up as much money as you can, because it starts getting really slow in the summer. And then you kind of just hold your breath until the fairs in August start, and then it just kind of goes back into the season. And so where my background was retail, I really wanted to turn it into a retail shop that had custom cutting versus a custom cutting shop that had some retail that you could also buy. So just kind of that mentality going in, it's totally transformed our business to where we stay busy with our retail year round. And our creativity in the retail, we've got a lot of broths that we do. We've got over 50 flavors of broth that we make.
Wow.
We've got a lot of stuff in our case. We do full carcass processing. So we've got our guy that does all of our slaughter. He has a USDA inspected plant that we can buy local beef from some farmers and then have it killed under inspection, and then we can cut it and resell it just out of our own place. And so we've got a lot of variety that we can offer that way, where we're cutting it as a full carcass, so more of an old-fashioned style butcher shop versus just a boxed beef butcher shop. So people really, really like that, and we've kind of grown pretty quick because of that. It's pretty unique for our area to be able to have the custom cutting and the retail all in one spot.
And then you mentioned the 50 brats. What other kind of unique things could people possibly find in your case? you know, as it changes with the seasons, or what's a standard?
Yeah, so we do a lot of just kind of the regular steaks, roast, and burger, and stew meat, and whatever else. We cut a lot of stuff to order. Some of the stuff that we're really popular for, we do a lot of kebabs. We have pre-seasoned beef, pork, and chicken that we wrap in bacon. And then noticing early on that everybody kept commenting, well, if you put bacon on anything, it makes it really good. So I started doing kind of a bacon theme at the shop, to where we have one of our products that we've developed that are kind of our signature item that we're actually building a website around, that we're doing a lot of stuff with right now, are our bombs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a roast that's wrapped in bacon. So we have a bacon net that we make, and then we do different season stuff and then wrap it. And so it's all ready, and we just call them our bombs. We've got 9 different flavors. So we have like a chicken cheddar one, and then a chicken cheddar jalapeno, a chicken jalapeno, a chicken cordon bleu, a turkey bacon and avocado, a pork and bacon. Our beef one is the Popeye bomb. It's beef, spinach, provolone cheese, and mushrooms. So we've got just a bunch of those. Those are really popular. We sell quite a few of those every day.
Nice. And then how many animals are you processing during, fair season around it?
Yeah, so our main busy season, so our business is kind of 3 different businesses. So we have our retail that keeps us busy pretty much year round.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have our custom cutting, which we do a little bit year round, but our main custom cutting coming in with our custom exempt is the first weekend in August. All the fairs around us start. So we've got about 5 or 6 different fairs that, as the 4-H kids raise them, and then they go to auction. Then local people and businesses will buy them, and then they send them to slaughter, and then they all come to us to where we process them for the customer. So that starts in August.
Mm-hmm.
And then pretty much every weekend in August are all the fairs. But then our game season, which is our 3rd main part of our business, comes in starting at the end of August. We've got a bunch of outfitters and stuff around us that we help supply, as well as the local hunters coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And then that goes until about February. And so the main bulk of fall slaughter is like October, November, and then into December. But so our busiest month by far is October, November, just right in there. We're just as much as we can do to stay caught up. So people are still grilling, still buying a bunch of stuff out of our retail. Hunters are coming through by the hundreds, it seems, every single day. And then we've got load after load of beef, hogs, and lambs coming through also.
Yeah.
So that's where we've got that second processing side. It's nice because we can keep all the game. Essentially, we have 2 different buildings kind of tied into one, to where we can process game and domestic on both sides of the building. So,
and then as far as like employees, do you ever notice like it's slower on the retail side, and then you have someone run over and help with the custom side, or is it like...
Yeah, so we've got, everybody's kind of trained up to be able to run everything. So we also offer sandwiches out of our front. So we've got to keep a few of our employees available to be able to run the register, to stay clean, and to be able to do sandwiches.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we've got our wrappers that help pull orders in and out of the freezer, help wrap all the stuff that we're doing. And then we've got our main heads of all the guys that are cutting. So a unique thing with our business is I'm 34, and I am probably the oldest by about 10 years of any of my employees. So most of my employees are all high school kids.
Mm-hmm.
All of the cutters, as soon as they graduate high school, they'll move to the cutting table. So all of our cutters are 18, and then the 16-year-olds, they'll help kind of wrap and then cut a little bit of retail, just as far as like chicken and just really basic stuff, to be able to help the front make sandwiches and all that kind of stuff. And so one of the reasons why we have so many is because they're still kind of in high school, and so they only work 3 to 4 hour shifts at a time.
Yeah.
And so some of the later shifts, we've got some of our older guys that'll work either 2 or 3 shifts in a row, or sometimes they'll come back. A couple of years ago, we were working just all the time trying to stay caught up with all the stuff, especially during game season. We'd be cutting game until 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and then go home and get a few hours of sleep, and then start again super early the next day. But it's gotten a little bit more easy to handle now that we've got more guys trained up. But we have a lot of guys, since they're young, they'll finish high school and work for us for a year or two, and then they want to start their careers, and so then they go off to college or they get married, and then the next generation that we've trained comes up and we start using them. And so it's kind of a revolving door. It's hard to keep guys really serious, unfortunately, to where we could have them for 5 and 6 and 7 years.
Yeah. And with that time frame you're mentioning, what training techniques have you found that work with, that you found that work for yourself and work for the people you're training, knowing that they might move on?
Yeah. So at first I love cutting. So it was kind of hard for me at first to start training a lot of guys because I wanted to do it myself, like training breakdown, training like on the boning table and stuff. Like at first, even the first probably 2 years, I was the only one doing all of the cutting, but it was getting more than I could handle. I was getting worn down. And so then I started to transition to where I wanted to train the next generation. And so I found at first I would train them a little bit at a time just because I didn't want to overwhelm them. And they would do okay, but I would notice that they would start to get bored. And so then I tried training them a lot of stuff just kind of up front. And then they would do okay, but still it was a little bit too much, and they would miss a lot of the details and had a hard time like picking up on stuff. So then I started making training videos, and then we started doing like handwritten tests. And so just kind of a culmination of everything seems to work. One thing, especially with my staff being a little bit younger, we try to do a lot of parties and stuff. And so we'll have them over to the house and do like a Mario party to where we just play a bunch of games and everybody just kind of hangs out, or we'll take them out to the movies every now and again. It seems to work to keep morale up pretty good since there are still a bunch of kids kind of hanging out at work. But
yeah,
I don't know, kind of an unconventional way, I think, but most of all, like, I don't know, being a part of the Butchers Guild, and we were able to go over to Ireland and just seeing all the apprenticeships that they have and all the programs they have in other countries, it kind of opened my eyes to what could be possible here in the U.S. And so since the WBC in Ireland, I've tried to kind of focus on that with my staff and help kind of raise some butcher pride, and just, this is our industry and you guys need to learn about it. And so I've had a lot of YouTube videos that I'd recommend to people. And actually the Meat Block podcast, I've had a bunch of my guys kind of download and start listening to a bunch of episodes, because there's really good knowledge and training stuff that you guys talked about that I've really appreciated to be able to have as a resource.
Oh, thanks.
So
it would be great to have some of your staff. I don't have people try out for the apprentice team. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be good. So my plant manager right now is actually 19. So, and he is rocking it. So he still has a lot to learn. He's only been cutting for about 1.5 to 2 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I was amazed over there just seeing even the young butcher side, like how well trained everybody is, and just the regimented just butchery and all their skills. It was pretty impressive. So we're going to bring a lot of our staff to Sacramento. And so they can kind of see what that whole world's about. And one of these years I'd really like to try out, but I don't have enough time to be able to take off, and because I'm still trying to run the plant and run the shop and run everything. So the more I can get trained and the more my guys kind of stay in place, the more freedom I've got to be able to do a lot of that stuff. He was saying something that some of the guild members may have an opportunity to come to some of the practices that Team USA is doing, or the Butchers of America is doing.
Yeah.
So absolutely. I would love to be able to come and kind of just hang out, and just that's what I love about being a butcher, is just the camaraderie of everybody, and just, I don't know, I just appreciate, like, I just love everything about the industry. And so it's nice. That's what I found when I found your Meat Block podcast. I actually listen to it once a week when I'm mowing the lawn.
Okay.
So I just put my headphones in and I'm mowing the lawn and I just listen to the episodes, and I'll laugh to myself, and just, I appreciate, like, I don't know, like, you guys know how it is. Like, especially some of those first years, cutting games so late and being so tired, you just like want to cry yourself to sleep. But you just got to keep going. Like long days, long hours, you get tired. You get up the next day and do it all over again, and you just got to keep grinding through it because it just doesn't end. But just the work and the pride of being able to do something that's a kind of a dying trade that not everyone can just pick up a knife and do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's nice to be part of a brotherhood where people get what you're talking about.
All right, it's just Travis here, or Travis again. I'm back. And what Nathan was talking about is if you or your shop is a member of the Butcher's Guild, like I'm a proud member of, like Nathan and Bingham Meat is a proud members of, some of our practices for the World Butchers Challenge are going to be available for members to come and hang out, watch us cut, watch us spitball ideas, get to know us, probably, have some fun. And because that's the whole thing about the Butchers Guild, and is to build this community and to get people who love this industry to connect with each other. Because one thing that Nathan's doing that is amazing is paying it forward with the next generation. The reason I started this podcast is because I found it difficult when I was coming up to get just simple questions about this industry answered, because people either coveted it or came from a side of the industry where they didn't know. I wanted to centralize, and I wanted to almost make like a audio network. And what the Butchers Guild does is it doesn't take this audio network. It takes a real network and connects you with people. And it's a support system for people in the industry. So please check out the Butchers Guild. Please support the American team. And I just want to say big thanks again for everything that Nathan and his shop has done to support us. And, his shop is beautiful. Just the energy that I see offline and just the great environment that translates, because it looks like it doesn't look like it. I'm sure it is a great place to work, and it just transcends that visual medium of this, like, wow, I really wish that was around when I was coming up. So again, thank you so much, Nathan. Thank you to your crew. And I look forward to meeting you in person. I look forward to hopefully some of your young staff trying out for the apprentice competition. And until next time, keep your knives sharp and live in the margin.